because I don't want them to forget about me. And I do give them all a set of Cutco knives when we close escrow, right? I do a lot of giveaways. So I'm always in their faces. Here's a coffee mug that I give my clients. So it has my logo here, and it has my favorite singer too. So,
You give that to the clients?
fuck yeah. Well, guess what? Our clients, what happens at the end? 99% of the time, they become your friends. They get to know
Yeah.
you the way you are, so they don't care if I talk like that. At the
That's
beginning,
funny.
also too, I'm all pretty much sleeved out. So sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
in the first meeting, they don't see none of it. But after I get to know them, then I get more comfortable, and then I find they have more tattoos than I have tattoos, and it's like
Yeah.
then that's a different topic. But it's just
So for
all
the vet,
about.
okay, so a veteran agent, let's not, and when I say veteran, let's say they've been only licensed for a couple of years, and so, let's be honest, right? When things are rolling and it's easy to capture business
Yep.
and it's easy to put a sign up in front of a house, and quite honestly, a lot of these houses were just selling themselves,
Right.
and we had a lot of people that were beating their chests, acting like they were the reason the house sold
Yeah.
for more than it was listed for, right? And now all of a sudden, those same people are like hearing crickets. What do you say to those people who are like, well, no, there's no business there for me, or I need to, how do I generate more business? This is, they didn't, they rode that wave, and now they got to figure out how to reinvent themselves, right? Or how to
Yeah.
rediscipline themselves to get business. What do you say to
Yeah,
that
I
agent?
know a lot. I know a lot of those agents, and I say la vie. I say, get out of the business. You don't belong here. You don't have any skills, and more for us, right? But truth be told, yeah, don't have any skills at all. They just put a sign up there, and would always right sold for 100,000 more than what it's worth. You didn't do shit. The market did it, and you're taking the credit. And now that the market is shifted. Uh, they're not doing their 2 or 3 houses a month. They're doing 2 or 3 a year now. And those people, I think as of June 30th of this year, there was 60,000 agents that left the business. Now it's going to be the end of October, the start of November. I want to say probably 100,000 agents have left the business because they had no direct sales training. They didn't do any coaching. They didn't work on themselves. Um, and that's kind of why you need to find, again, the schedule. It goes to the schedule. First thing is the why, right? You have to have the why. Why are you doing this shit? Why do you want to make $100,000 or 300,000? What's driving? It has to be big enough for you to get your ass to work every day, right? So figure out your why. Then you got to do a business plan, right? Mike Ferry has a very simple one. I think it's like 6 pages, and you fill out. It's very detailed. You might, go through the time to fucking fill it out. I mean, what's the rush? This is your life, right? This is your career. Fill out your
Sure.
business plan, and then you're going to follow the schedule, and then take action on the schedule. And that's pretty much, it sounds so easy, right? But people are so intimidated. People want the path of less resistance, which is making videos, doing an open house, which are all passive. They're all passive, right? We want to be active. And that's part of the script when you go to a listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you want a passive agent that just sits here and waits for an offer to come, or an active agent like me that, get your house sold at for top dollar? And what do I mean by active? So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's my schedule. You can hold me to it. You can come to my office any day. I'll be doing these tasks to get people to your property. Nobody gives their schedule at a listing presentation, but I
Right.
do. So that's why my listing retention, when I go to listing form, I'm 90% to get the listing. So 9 out of 10 times I get the listing. Where Mike Ferry, he's happy with 70%. And guess what? Our people in our groups here, they're at 20 or 30% because they have no freaking skills. So work on your skills, people. It is kind of boring and it kind of sucks, but you need to have the skills to sit down in front of the seller or the buyer and convince them that you're the right person for the job. For me, as a prior law enforcement, I have a thing that's called command presence. So when I walk into the room, all eyes on me, baby. I make them, I have that such confidence that when I walk in there, your ass is mine. You know what I mean? And they feel it. And a seller wants that. They want the confidence that their house is going to get sold in a timely manner for a top dollar. I'm the right man for the job. And how did I become this way? Well, through reading books, through having a coach, to being around people like Paul and my other friends in different mastermind groups and feeding off each other, and my ego being way down here. And it's hard for Latinos for their egos to be here, right? like my friend Neil Schwartz would say, your ego is not your amigo. So you definitely have to keep yourself in check. And we do make a lot of money for what we do. You have to just show the client why you make that money, and
Why you're worth it.
it's easier for me to point that out to a client.
So let's go into that. I'm glad you bring that up because that was one of the things that I wanted us to talk about. So when you're doing your listing presentation, right, especially now after what's been going on with all the commissions, and now the debate over the buyer's agent's commissions, who's paying this commission, what the commission. We're not going to go into that here just because I don't want to feed into that. But when someone you're sitting down with the seller and they're talking to you and they want to know, well, okay, so why do you earn 5% commission? Why do you earn a 6% commission? How do you handle that objection?
Right. Again, I go based off the motivation first. Again, when I go to a listing appointment, I've already done everything before even showing up to the property. Right. I follow the Mike Ferry rules, where I go through a pre-qualifying the listing presentation. There's like 19 questions on that thing. And I send them a pre-listing package to their home. So when I go to their house, all the objections have been handled, right? And sometimes they want to do it over the phone, and I don't handle objections over the phone, right? I'll say, hey, that's a great question. I know you're concerned, and that's the first thing we'll talk about when I see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Is that okay? Nobody ever says no. It's very rare. If they do say no, it's like, well, no, I want to know now, you can't come. All right, well, here's the deal. The commission is negotiable. You get what you pay for. You want a discount brokerage, or you want someone that sold over 500 houses with 26 years track record, with 50 Google reviews and 60 dealer reviews. Look me up, and that's what you're paying for, right? So I'm not here to impress you, just to press upon you that I know what I'm doing. I get the job done. Does that sound fair? Sign the contract, right? So it's just like total, like you're always on, right?
Now that pre-listing package, though, the pre-listing package, and I'm only asking this because there's going to be people that they don't know. So,
very basic.
Yeah, but what's in it, and when you send it, do you email it to them? Do you drop it off before? And do you and clearly they get it before the actual. I think I know the answer because you and we've been coached the same. Yeah. But for someone who doesn't know, who hasn't had any coaching, what's a pre-listing package? What do you put in it, and why do you send it to them?
Great questions, and I've gotten listings just because of these steps. So number one, how do I send it? I send it FedEx. Who doesn't want to open a FedEx envelope? Right? Mm-hmm. Everyone gets happy. They do, and they look at it, and it's in there. So, a listing package is not an ego-based package. It's nothing about me. It's the contract law, right? It's a seller's net sheet. People want to know what they're going to take home, right? And I have 3 referrals they can talk to, and I changed the name because, again, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but. I have different last names on there. I have an Armenian guy or a Spanish guy or a Chinese person, just because I want them to know that I work with everybody. I'm not just a one-trick pony with Latinos. And that's also a mindset thing, that one as a Latino or an Asian or a white person that thinks that they can only work with that type of people. But get back to what I said. It's just basic, a little paragraph about my background. No pictures, just here, I'm Javier. I've been in business for 26 years. I've sold these many houses. And this is what I think your house is worth. And then I do the 3 references with their phone numbers, they can call them. I do the net sheet and the contract. That's it. There's nothing, there's no 26-page or,
and on the contract, it typically includes the price and your commission. Right?
Absolutely. Even in the seller's net sheet. I don't know what it is, Paul, but for you, when you do a seller's net sheet, people are weird that, no, man, this is my commission, this is what I get paid. And this is what it is, and it breaks down what I'm going to get, what the buyer's agent is going to get, and sometimes it might be different, and I'm very transparent. Sometimes if I feel it's far, or it's going to be kind of more of a headache, or I look. That's what people do that probably don't do here. When you do comparables, you should also do comparables of what agents are paying out in that area. It's very easy, right? You see 30 houses that have sold. What's the average commission that's being paid out? If everyone's paying 2%, I'm going to put 2% to the buyer's agent. If I see everybody's at 2.5, I'm going to put 2.5, and I'll explain that to the seller. Well, why are you charging 5%? Well, because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in the last 30 transactions in your neighborhood, the average sales commission to the buyer's agent is 2.5%. Does that make sense? Well, yeah, okay. People just want an answer. As long as it sounds like you know what you're talking about, and you don't stall. Well, you're done, dude. You're done. Then you're gonna have more objections because they don't think you know what the fuck you're doing. So if you can
Right.
answer a question that sounds logical, and you don't say anything stupid, right? Then they're gonna take it to heart because, well, he's saying it must be true.
Right.
And I just made that
And
up
a
right
lot of
there.
agents, they're afraid of showing the price and showing the commission because they think that another agent is going to just call them and say, "Hey, well, I can get you more money," or
Absolutely.
"Hey, I can do it for a lower, I can do it for a lower commission."
That's
So how
why
do you
in one of
handle
the
those
questions,
objections?
yeah, and one of the questions in the pre-qualifying the listing is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you think your home is worth? Right there, you're gonna know. Why do you think it's worth 700,000? Your neighbor's is 800,000. Just want to get an idea. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think your house is a 10, a 9? And why do you see? So you ask a lot of questions. Ask 30 or 40
Yep.
questions before you even show up to the door. So first
Yep.
of all, number one, I get their motivation. Number two, I see if they're crazy or not, because I don't work with crazy, right? And then if they're kind of like they just don't know, there's a lot of people that just fucking don't know, right? So I'm there to educate them and explain to them why. And here's why I came with the numbers, and here's why I think we should pay this commission, and here's why, and here's this, and here's that. So for an analytical person, they're in hog heaven because they want to see the data. For a driver person, again, from when the beginning of this video, why do I want to know who I'm dealing with? Why do I want to know if the driver's the seller's a driver? Because I know I got that motherfucker by the balls because I'm a driver and I know what I want and I'm going to tell him, Mister, you're going to sign at 600, you're going to net 356,000, sign the contract. And 99% of the time they sign because they're just like me.
Yeah.
Analytical, they're going to want to see
You're
graphs.
mirroring.
They're going to want yes, they're going to want to see graphs and data and comps and Y and square footage. That's fine. I'll do that. Amiable wants to make sure that the person that buys their house is going to love it just the way they loved it, right? So you have to be a chameleon. You have to know what you're talking about. And in the pre-listing, the appointment, that is so powerful. People are, I don't want to say it, but better for me because when I go to an appointment and there's 6 people ahead of me or they interviewed 8 people, no one's going to have a copy of the schedule and the listing presentation right when I get there. I don't put it in my pre-listing package, but when I get there, this is the tool that I use. Um, and no one's going to be better prepared than me. So I've gotten listings because they said, well, they didn't ask me these questions even before. I felt like I was being interviewed, so I felt like you were the man for the job of you're so professional. So again, because I take this to heart, this is my job, this is my business. I am all in. I'm not going nowhere until I say I'm going to go. And you're not going to beat me, man. You're not going to beat me.
Exactly.
You may be skinnier or better dressed, but man, when it comes to skills and talk, and it's not, people have this misconception that we're like used car salesmen or car salesmen or we're trying to cheat
Sure.
the person.
Sure.
Or, no, we're giving accurate information. I never lie. It's not lying. It's opening their eyes to the information that they didn't know that was available to them. And a lot of the agents we talked about that are leaving the business, they never took the time to work on themselves. And that's
Right.
what I do on the daily. That's why I read every day. That's why I have 3 mastermind groups, 5 accountability partners. I'm here in the morning every day, unless I'm somewhere.
And that's important too because for someone who with your level of production, right? And this is you closing about 30 deals a year during the slow times, what people are calling the slow
Yeah.
times. My light just turned off. You being able to do that, you're still able to participate in the mastermind groups. You're still able to go on vacations. You're still able to do all the things that you want to do because I've seen it with my own eyes and I've worked with you. So I know these things. So for when someone's looking at this from the outside looking in, they're thinking, well, how do I get to that level of production and still have time? And it's, yep.
So I'm going to add to that, Paul. I think it's very important. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, and my goals and my whys have changed in the last years recent. I only work 4.5 days a week. I work from Monday to Friday at noon. I'm done. I come back Monday. So I take 3.5 days off, and I've been on 12 trips this year. And I'm not saying like the Maldives or Paris. I'm talking about little 3 4 days, little 3 4 days. I have date night every Thursday with my wife. That's in the schedule too. And I hate to say it, but you have to put stuff in the schedule, right? All my kids' appointments, their graduations, their birthdays, everything's just, my haircuts are in the schedule because I am that guy that if someone asks me, hey Javier, you want to go have a coffee tomorrow at 10? No, can't. Well, why? Because I'm on a schedule and I know that I'm gonna relax Friday, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere. I haven't been home in the weekend for like 6 weeks, and my wife likes to travel, so that's part of it. But yeah, you have to be on a schedule. You have to follow some type of. I'm not saying Mike Ferry is it for everybody, because truth be told, it's very very hard. I started off with 7 people in my coaching program, and so far 2 people have left because they didn't think it was going to be as hard as I made it seem, or easier, or they were going to call for a day and get deals, and
What were
that's
the
why.
excuses that those? What were the excuses that those people gave you? I'm just curious. What were they saying to you, or did they just ghost you?
No, they didn't ghost. I was on their ass. I would call you, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you putting your numbers? They didn't see what I was trying to, even though I'm like a guinea pig, and I showed them this is me. Pre-Mike Ferry, I did 9 transactions in 2013. And then I went to a Mike Ferry seminar, and, oh, right? And then that next year I did 19, and then 31. And then again, always by myself. I like working
Sure.
by myself because I like my flexibility, and I don't like to babysit people. But coaching is different. Coaching is not babysitting because first of all they're paying, so they have some skin in the game. But some of the excuses were they didn't want to follow a schedule. They didn't want to. They were afraid to talk on the phone, right? After I told them all the success stories that happened, and they just didn't want to be accountable. They didn't want to be accountable. They thought I was going to teach them how to do a post or how to make one call and get 10 deals for making one call. But we talked about the accumulation effect, right, in the 90 days. And I keep saying that because even people that at our level go, for me, it won't be night. For me, it'll be like 35 days to start and stop. I just know that because I know my math. But for a normal person that starts and prospects and follows the schedule for 90 days, you're going to start seeing the results, the following month. So what happens is they go 2.5, 2.75 months, and they stop, and they got to start all the way to the beginning. Or they get a check and they stop, and then now the 90 days starts again the following month, and you don't get a check for the following 4 months. That's why I work my ass off on Q4 or fourth quarter, because I know that I want to start. I still want to get checks in January, February. People are just going to start their
Right.
business plan and their
Yeah.
goals, and then they don't get paid till April, May. Then they're all sad. Then November comes, and they're not even at an eighth of their goals because they didn't work through the finish line, the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's the biggest excuse that I think I hear from our peers, our people during, especially it starts in October, and then November it starts to get really strong, and then November, a lot of them are comatose, like you can't find them anymore.
Yeah,
So the fourth quarter is always, I tell everybody, this is always the time where now we kick into high gear, right?
yeah,
And
for sure.
so, okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing all of these things. This is all valuable information.
Let me share some of my
Yeah.
quotes. There's one quote that really sticks out. One of them is "Make that one more call," right? That I got directly from Jeb Blunt. But one of them I always share because it's so true, and I try to make this as easy as possible for people, right? So you've heard this before 1,000 times, I'm sure. Without commitment, you never start, and without consistency, you never finish. So this job is both of those. You can't have one or the other. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It sucks without the other one. You need to have the
Yeah.
the consistency, the commitment, and you have to be totally all in. So, really quick too, we talked about acquisition and retention. I just want to share some of the things that I've been doing to acquire new leads in this type of market, because it's not as easy for someone to cold call or circle prospect, because what are people afraid of are the rates, right? And you have to be prepared when you're on the phone. You have to have some type of data. So like me, like I have my app where I know the rates within a click of a button, right? You don't want to be searching what the rates are today, because when someone asks you what
Did
are the
I see
rates,
7.3? Is that what I saw?
yeah, that's
7.3? That's right now?
yeah, 7.38, and then for FHA, 6.71. So it's going down, and
Oh,
thank
I
God the
thought it
stock
was higher.
market.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I follow the stock market a lot too, and it's had rough weeks, but this last week was really amazing. So I want to talk about the acquisition. I do belong to a bunch of different, like those referral-based programs like Chase and Upnest, Home Light, Effective Agent, And those are cool because we talk about people are negative in their thinking. They think that, man, I got to give them 30% or 25%. You're missing the point, man.
Right.
Get them, pay those fucking people 25%, and that's your client now, right? If you service them correctly, they're going to give you more people, and now they're your client, they're in your database, and it only costs you 25%. And it's not coming out of your pocket, right? You're not paying somebody Zillow like $2,000 or $3,000 a month. That's different. This is if you get it sold or bought, you pay them a cut of what you didn't have anyways. So you have to be, think a little different when it comes to.
So what you're talking about are these referral-based platforms. I know Chase has one, right? You just mentioned Chase.
Yeah.
Where you can go, and I think there's even a link where you can apply through their platform. You can apply to be an agent. If I'm not mistaken, it may need their broker approval. I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a few criteria. It's production, right? You have to have a certain level of production. And
so what Chase does then is it's going to feed you those buyer leads.
Yeah, because people walk in all the time to a Chase and get pre-qualified, and they're like, I don't have an agent. Well, here, get on. And then they call me and they say an agent guy from Chase doesn't have a buyer. Please reach out to them. And then I call them and we link up and we sign a contract, and then I upload it into the Chase place, and then they take away at the end of the commission their 25%, 30%, whatever it is. And it didn't cost me anything. And it's my client from now on. And Effective Agent's the same thing. UpNest is the same thing. Are you going to get all your business from there? No, but if I'm doing 20 or 23 deals and then 6 come from this platform, then it is what it is, right?
There's also HomeLight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have HomeLight too. Yeah.
OpCity is obviously another one.
OpCity,
just referral based.
For sure. So again, with the schedule, I know we're bouncing around, but there's things that are coming to my mind. That part of the schedule is you have to have a start time and a stop time. You can't just be a 24/7 agent. I know people would like the cliche, like, I'm here 24/7. No, man, I'm not here 24/7, man. Here's my schedule, Mr. Seller. I'll call you every Thursday at 3 o'clock to discuss what happened in the week prior. If there's any activity, any feedback, if there's price reductions, which is very popular right now because agents don't know, and it's hard to price a property because of the craziness of what's going on, the instability. Sometimes the seller's like, well, let's list it for $1 million, see what happens. And before I'd be like, oh hell no, it's only worth 900. Now it's like, okay, let's list it for $1 million. Let's go your way for 2-3 weeks, and if not, then we'll reduce it to my price. And I'll put that in the contract, by the way, without having to do an actual modification of the contract. I put it in the RLA, and they have no say at that point, and they have to agree. So I'm pretty aggressive, man, when it comes to that.
Walk me through that conversation. So let's do a real quick role play.
Okay.
So Javier, listen, my neighbor sold for 1.1. It was a little bit nicer. Most people don't say this, but it was a little bit nicer than mine. So I think mine should at least go for $1 million.
Okay, that's good. I understand where you come from, Mr. Seller. Let's do this. Why don't we list it at your price? You say you want $1 million?
That's what I want. I want.
And you said less features in the house that's sold. That could be correct.
Yeah, I mean, they remodeled theirs. Mine is still a little older, so I'll discount $100,000 for the remodel. Sure.
Okay, $1 million. Okay, and you say you have to be in Nevada in 60 days. Is that right, to see your grandkid be born?
That's the goal. That's what I'd like to do. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I asked that, Paul, is because I want to make sure I do my job and sell the property to get you to your granddaughter being born in Nevada in those 60 days. So I usually don't do this, but why don't we list it at the $1 million? Because the market is kind of unstable right now, and it's shifted. So you might be right, but let's do this. If after, I say 14 days, Paul, is a good time because we'll have enough agents that go in there. It'll be on the market. It'll be on Zillow. It'll be on Realtor.com for 14 days, and the market will tell us, not me, not you. The market will tell everybody what your house is really worth. So why don't we list it for $1 million? And if after 14 days it does not sell, then we reduce it to $940, $900, which I advise you to put in the contract. That way you get what you want, I get what I want, and you see your granddaughter in 60 days. Is that fair?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay, I'll be in the contract also too. With that way you don't have to do any other paperwork. You don't have to sign nothing else. It'll be included in the contract so that as soon as the 14th day comes, I'll do it automatically. Let's hope and pray that it sells for $1 million before the 14 days. But if not, the clause will be there. Is that fair?
Okay. All right.
Sign the contract.
And you put that in the additional terms?
Yeah, right below the price.
Yeah. See, and the only reason that you would have been able to have done that was because you were really good, assuming, at
Motivation,
extracting my motivation and where I wanted to
motivation,
be. Yeah.
and what you think your house is worth. And a scale of 1 to 10, what your house is on a scale of 1 to 10,
Yep.
and what's the objection, what's the condition, right? So you have to listen at all times, repeat, affirm. I never knocked him for being $1 million. I applauded him. Let's try it. Let's do it your way. I made him feel all nice and warm. Now, is that lying? Not at all, man. I told him exactly what I know as a real estate professional, and if he got the money, great, right? So what's the whole say? You want to under deliver or undersold and over deliver.
Under promise, over deliver. Yeah.
So that's my motto. I always want. I don't want to start way up here and then I have to beat you up week after week like the script. I have to beat you up week after week for a price reduction. Let's get somewhere in the middle. Let's commit to working together. We are a team right now, and I'm on your side. But we definitely have to go what the market says, and that's nothing we can all do. And then we have to think about the appraisal issue. If it's going to appraise, that's a whole different issue that we have a different conversation for. But again, you have to have all the nooks and crannies of the sale and being there for the seller, and never ever disagreeing with the seller, because that's when people get in trouble and they let it get emotional. So again, you cannot be attached to the outcome, you know, and in a lot of things in life, but more in people when you talk to on the phone and you call my mother a cunt, or he told me to go kill myself, or I'm an ambulance chaser. Who cares? Just next,
Yeah.
you know, who cares? They don't know you, you don't know them. So yeah, I think it's definitely, I'm looking at my notes really quick.
That's another Mike Ferry thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Mike Ferry notes.
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a joke pretty soon too.
Yeah, he's like, I wrote these things down. Then he pulls out a yellow legal pad
Yeah.
and he reviews them.
So, again, if I can pretty much just put it in a nutshell, like when I tell my coaching people when they come to see me, and again, I had about 9 people want to be in the coaching, and me on my own, I took 3 out because again, I'm not a babysitter. I don't want
Sure.
kids that are going to waste my time that I know just because I interview them and ask them questions on why, you know, I want to roll.
Are they coming to the office to work with you at the office, or is it all
No,
virtual?
no. The good thing about again, the COVID stuff is like things like this, right, on Zoom. So I do a coaching call on the phone for half an hour, and then I do a weekly Zoom meeting with all the coaching clients together, and then I separate them, and then I do a group text with all the coaching clients where they can put their numbers. And I also have a specific Facebook Javier's coaching client Facebook group that they're invited to, so they can. I put the quotes in there and I yell at them on there, and I tell them you're not doing your numbers. One of the people wrote they had 33 contacts. I go, that's a great day. That's huge. No, that's 33 for the week. I'm like, hey, man. I go, so now I know what I got to work with that person, you know, to get the contactitis. I got to get the contacts up, and then we'll work on the quantity after. But the quantity is first to get the prospecting muscle, and then the quality will come later through the scripts and the training. But I love this job, bro.
So for those of you who are interested, if you're a new agent, if you're a veteran agent, and you just need a kick in the ass, you know, Javier does offer coaching. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
My number, 213-216-5306. And it's 90 days at a time. There's no contract. It's 90 days at a time. And it'll start Q1 2024. So from January 2nd till the end of the quarter, March, then you'll have 90 days with me. And if you want to continue, you can do it. It can be every 90 days. If you think you learned it all in the 90 days, great, go for it. Go do something else. But I like doing the 90 days, man. It really rejuvenates you. It really keeps you on track. You can shift. You can with the market. You can change. You can add stuff or, you know, delete stuff from your schedule if it doesn't work. But you have to still be productive. You have to have productive days. Even though sometimes you'll have 20 or 30 contacts and no leads and no appointments, it doesn't matter. It's a numbers game. Eventually, it's gonna work out for you. But again, it's the consistency that people lack. Even people like ourselves in our age, it just keeps. And I mean our age, not physical. I mean in business. But yeah.
I'm not that far behind you, man. Okay, so how do you personally, and then we'll end on this, deal with those days where you did, like, I mean, I know that there's days for me, well, I'll have 40 contacts, 40 conversations, and I'm batting zero. And out of those 40, I got nothing. Not even a warm lead, not even a lukewarm lead. And you just feel like, man, that took me about 4 hours, 5 hours of doing this,
Yeah.
and I got nothing today. I feel like I have nothing to show for all the efforts that I put in today.
And
How do you recover from that and then get on the horse and go right back out and do it again the next day?
I know the math. I know my math. I know it takes me 132 contacts to get to a listing appointment, 167 contacts to sign a listing agreement. I know I make $21 every contact I make. I know I'm worth $495 an hour. That's what gets me. That's what I know. I know my numbers, and I feel that the days that don't do nothing, it's just a matter of time, baby. And you have to have that blind faith, right? If you're a Christian, you have blind faith that there's someone up there. Well, have blind faith that someone's going to sign your contract too. Have the same faith in yourself. And how do you do it every day? Practice, read, become a better human being, a better person. Become attractable to a seller. I'm not saying physically, right? Sometimes that should happen, but become attractable to the seller by your confidence. When you walk into the door, they know, man, this guy's my agent. Because there's a lot of shit show agents out there. We all seen them, we know them, that just on a whim, off a cuff, they come in, they don't know what they're gonna do. I'm gonna call 10 people today, and then they end up calling 3 and they go home. Good. That's more for us. So don't stay off the gas. Keep it on the gas. Even if you get 2 closings, 3 closings, start at 0 every day. Pretend you don't have nothing in the bank, even though you might not have nothing in the bank. If you have a bunch of money in the bank, pretend you have 0. Start your day at 0. Get your ass to work. Make the calls, and you see what happens.
Awesome. All right, let's end it on that, you guys. Javier, let's get your number one more time in case anybody wants to reach out to you, either as a client or even as a coaching client as agent.
Yeah, 213-216-5306. I'm on Facebook, on IG, Javier Ramirez Broker. You'll see my face. I'm wearing a tie, I think it's still.
Awesome.
Not anymore.
All right, Javier. Thank you
All
for
right,
doing
Paul.
it.
I'll